If he said, on condition that I have a base core of land, she is betrothed, provided he has it on condition that I have it in a specific place. If he has it in that place, she is betrothed. If not, she is not betrothed. On condition that I will show you a base core of land, she is betrothed, provided he will show it to her. If he showed it to her in a valley, she is not betrothed. Ramea says, any condition which is not like the condition of the children of God and the children of Reuven is not a condition, as it is said, and Moshe said to them, if the children of God and the children of Reuven will cross, and it is written, but that if they will not cross zealously. Remember, Kanina ben Gamliel says it was necessary for the matter to be stated because otherwise it is implicit that even in the land of Canaan, they will not inherit. They shall not inherit. If one betrothed a woman and said, I thought that she is the daughter of a Kohen, and lo, she is the daughter of a Levi, the daughter of a Levi, and lo, she is the daughter of a Kohen, a poor woman, and lo, she is a rich woman, or a rich woman, and lo, she is a poor woman, she is betrothed because she did not deceive him. If one says to a woman, you are betrothed to me after I will be converted, or after you will be converted, after I become freed, or after you become freed, after your husband shall die, or after your sister shall die, or your yavam shall give you kalitza, she is not betrothed. Likewise, if one says to another, if your wife bears a female, she is betrothed to me. If she is not betrothed, betrothed to me, she is not betrothed. If the brother's wife was pregnant and her fetus was discernible, his words are effective, and she bore a female, and she is betrothed. Right.
Okay. It says, here's the Tanai. I'm going to put in a good word for you with the governors. He's a political sucker, and he's going to have he's going to put in some good words for her. I will on condition that I will make you I'll give you day work as a worker. Okay. If he did actually speak to the authorities regarding her, or asai makapal, or he did what he said he was going to do, he kept his condition. Of course, so if he did or didn't, that the Kiddushin is dependent on this. So it's not entirely clear why we would have to say these things. Because it seems to be like this is a Tanai, and we've spoken about Tanai before. So I'm not sure why we need another Mishna to tell us this. Perhaps according to what Kahati is saying over here, is that according to the Tana of our Mishnah, Yeshna Leschiros Mitzchila V'ad Sof. To show that so basically what he's saying, for example, is he's basically renting out a service to her, and that service is what he's being mekadesh with. I see. Sorry, I beg you. No, Beprita. It still is Beprita. No, so basically, I think the Nakuda over here is that she becomes Mekudeshes immediately as long as he fulfills immediately he's his wife, but he has an obligation now to fulfill his obligation, and if not, then the Tanai is invalid. So his Kiddushin was a Kiddushin at the time that he gave it to her. It's just that Lemafrey it will be reversed if he doesn't do what he said he would.
And the Kiddushin is based on him giving her the work.
Yeah, I translated it badly. Either that he will go and speak to the authorities for her, or he'll work for her as a poil. He's going to work for her.
Right.
Okay.
We've seen that well, we've seen that before in the Torah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For her father-in-law, as it is.
Right.
Anyway. Almana sheyirtze Abba. So if he says as long as my father is okay with it, so he doesn't need to cut the apron strings, so to speak. Then he says, "I'm marrying you just on condition that my father is okay with it." Ratza ha'av mekudeshes. Im lav ein mekudeshes. If the father objects, then the Kiddushin is retroactively annulled. Meis ha'av. What happens if the father died before the Kiddushin was before he could establish whether he was happy with the shidduch or not? Harezo mekudeshes. And she's we follow the chazaka that she's got the ring on her finger, because that the Mesa Ben, hold on, Mesa Av Harezo mekudeshes. B'soch shloshim yom harezo mekudeshes. So there's no. So if he died within 30 days of the of this, then she's none of this mekadesh, because there's no suspicion now that, I don't know why we have to say 30 days, just that he's not going to object anymore. So therefore she's mekadesh. Mesa Ben. Now what happens if the son dies before the father's had a chance to say anything? So now, do we want to leave her as a widow, or do we want to leave her as an unmarried woman? So then we tell the father, the woman's going to be better off if you say that you have unhappy with the shidduch. Okay, so therefore the son was retroactively not married to her, and then she doesn't need yibum.
Well, yeah, but why does that matter so much? Why is the matter that they want the father not to say? Maybe she does want to be married to,
Okay, but because if he remember, her husband is dead now, then.
Right.
That means she's going to need yibum. So rather than have to be stuck in that situation, we can tell the father, listen, get her out of the situation and
leave it alone. Okay, all right.
Okay. Kiddashti es biti ve'eni yodea lani kiddashti ha. Right, I gave my daughter in marriage to somebody, but it was a rough night, and I don't remember who gave me the Kiddushin. So one guy comes and says, no, it was me, don't you remember? I gave you the Kiddushin money. Father says, oh, maybe you're right, maybe you're not, I can't remember. Neman, but we believe him because the story fits and there's nobody else claiming. However, two guys come and say it was me, and the other one says, no, it was me. Now we've got a problem. Shnehem nosnim get. We tell them both have to issue a get. We can't say one issue a get and one, okay? Or imratsu, if you can get them to compromise, echad nosim get, echad kones. So if you can get them to compromise or issue financial incentives or whatever it is they want to do to come to an agreement, then you can have one giving the divorce and the other one marrying her.
Yeah.
Okay. But if they won't agree, then we force them both to give a get.
Okay.
Yeah. Mishna ches kiddashti es biti kiddashtiha v'gerashtiha keshehi katana v'harehi katana neman. Okay. So if a man says, I have given my daughter in marriage, or he says I've given her in marriage and I also accepted her get while she was a katana. Yeah. Okay. In both cases, harehi katana, if she is still a katana, is neman. Right? He's the father, he's got the rights over his daughter's kiddushin. Kiddashtiha v'gerashtiha keshehi katana v'harehi gedola. If he claims, however, that he accepted a kiddushin and he accepted a gerushin while she was a katana, and now she is grown up. So now basically he's saying that she is a divorcee. Eno neman. So what does it mean? What is the woman's status? Because this looks like it's a pesha asel or pesha hitzir. He didn't need to say kiddashtiha. So I would actually okay. Eno neman leposta lekuna. So he's not believed when it's to her disadvantage, because now if a Kohen wants to marry her, then he's not allowed to, if we believe him. But we say to the father, your words are batal, we don't accept it, and certainly if he only says kiddashtiha, he's not believed to make her asa to every person, because if she's a gedola and she's saying I was never married, and he so otherwise any father could turn up at some point later in his daughter's life and be angry with her and say, I accepted kiddushin for you when you were younger, And
Okay.
I don't know anything about this. Okay. Eno Neman. Misha Amar B'Shas Misasa. If somebody is on his deathbed and he says, Yesh li banim. He says, he says to his wife, you thought that all this time that we never had children, but really I do actually have children. And then he dies without being able to explain. Okay? Neman, what's he Neman? He's Neman that his wife doesn't need Yibum. Okay? He's and his wife doesn't need Yibum or Chalitza. Okay? Since why is this? Kati explains he's not coming to uproot a chazaka of the fact that they're married or anything like that. What he's coming is he's coming to be mad to her from another side. But however, if he's in a situation where he doesn't have sons, and he's dying, and his wife, and he says to his wife, I've got a brother, and then he dies, we don't believe him. We don't add a chumrah onto her to say now she's got to go looking around for this brother so that she can get a chalitza or yibum. Anyway, so now he's adding an extra chumrah onto her, which we don't believe from him. Hamakadesh is bito stam ein habogros bichnal. So if somebody stam accepts a kiddushin for his daughter, so he's got a lot of daughters, some older, some younger, and he received money of kiddushin for one of them, but he didn't say for which daughter he was intending. The elder daughters who are above bat mitzvah, there's no suspicion over there because of course he cannot accept kiddushin on their behalf. They're in their own domain. Gemara explains that even if he makes his adult daughter a shaliach to accept the kiddushin, still we don't say that he accepted the kiddushin before one of the אין אנו אומרים שקיבל קידושין בשביל אחת מבנותיו שלא בגרו עדיין ולא בשביל הבוגרת, שאין אדם מניח מצווה המוטלת עליו עושה מצווה שאינו מוטלת עליו. He's not going to leave aside a mitzvah that he's chayiv in and do a mitzvah that he's not chayiv in. שלא בגרו עדיין בשביל הבוגרת. שקיבל קידושין בשביל אחת לא בגרו עדיין. Nonetheless, so all of his underage daughters are in the situation where there's a suffix of a kiddushin because he didn't say which one of them he's accepting kiddushin for, because kiddushin that was not and they're all going to need the get with suffix. So we're not worried about the older daughters tachlis. But the younger daughters are nonetheless in the cloud of Suffolk married. If there's only one underage, of course, then we only know who. Then we know for sure.
No, it's right.
Okay, back to Aleph Beis.
A Jewish bondsman is acquired with money or with a document and acquires himself with years or with yovel or the deduction of money. A Jewish bondwoman has the advantage over him that she acquires herself with signs. One whose ear is bored is acquired by the act of boring and acquires himself with yovel or with the death of the master. A Canaanite slave is acquired with money with a document or with an act of possession. He acquires himself with money, though through others, and with a document on his own. These are the words of Rav Meir, and the Chachamim, however, say with money on his own and with a document through others, as long as the money is from others. A large animal is acquired by Masira, and a small one by being lifted. These are the words of Rav Meir and Rav Eliezer. The Chachamim, however, say that a small animal is acquired by Mashicha. That's right, Mashicha. Okay. With
Okay, so test base.
One more. No, that's it. That's it. Okay.
So to test base.
Test base. If it was found buried in a heap, or hanging from a tree, or floating upon the water, they would not decapitate a calf, as it is said in the land, implying that it was not buried in a heap, fallen but not hanging from a tree, in the field but not floating upon the water. It was found near the border or near a city which the majority of non-Jews, or near a city in which there is no court of law, they would not decapitate a calf. They do not measure except from a city in which there is a court of law. If it was found equidistant from two cities, the two bring two calves. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Jerusalem is exempt from the right of the decapitated calf. If its head was found in one place and its body in another, we bring the head to the body. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Kiva, and the body is brought to the head. From where will be the measure? Rabbi Eliezer says from his navel. Rabbi Kiva says from his nose. Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov says from the place that he became a corpse, his neck. This would have been a good mission to read to your son last night.
Yes, I was just thinking. I was thinking that, but fortunately, this jackal was intact. It wouldn't.
Right.
It wouldn't have been pretty if it had actually. Never mind.
It was intact. The head was in the grill, but it was intact.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just had a broken neck.
So what did you do with it, by the way?
I won't say on the recording.
Okay. Dinner is ready. Okay. Hey, Dalit. If one consecrated his wife's handiwork, she may nevertheless work and eat. If he consecrated the surplus, Reb Meir says it is consecrated. Reb Yochanan and Hans Sandler says it is not consecrated. These are the words. These are the kinds of work that a woman must do for her husband. She must grind, bake, wash, cook, and nurse a child, make his bed, and work with wool. If she brought him one maidservant, he need neither grind, bake, nor wash. If she brought in two, she need neither cook nor nurse her child. 3, she may neither make his bed nor work with wool. 4, she may sit in an easy chair. If Eliezer says, even if she brought him 100 maidservants, it should compel her to work with wool, for idleness brings to unchastity. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, even if one pronounced a vow upon his wife not to do any work, he must divorce her and give her a ketubah, for idleness brings to insanity. If one pronounces a vow on his wife not to have relations, Beit Shammai says 2 weeks. Beis Hillel says 1 week. Students may leave for Torah study without permission for 30 days, and laborers for 1 week. The conjugal rights stated in the Torah are as follows: men of leisure every day, laborers twice a week, donkey drivers once a week, camel drivers once in 30 days, sailors once in 6 months, and these are the words of Reb Eliezer.
Okay.
Right. Right. Erevin, Aleph, Gimel. Dalet. We wide enough to hold an ariak and strong enough to hold an ariak. Rabbi Yehuda says wide, even if it is not strong. If it was made of straw or of reeds, we would view it as if it were made of metal. Bent, we view it as if it were straight, and rounded, we view it as if it were square. Anything which has a circumference of 3 fists has a diameter of 1 fist. 1 fist.
That's also your tear. 3.14.
Right. The poles of which they spoke, their height is 10 fists, while their width and thickness are of any size. And Yoshi says their width is 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Hulin. Aleph Zion.
No, actually in Mikvahs.
Mikvos?
Mikvahs, yeah. That's just the order of.
Okay. I just put it in the wrong place. Okay. Here we go. Beit Zion. If one placed jars on a roof to dry them out and they filled with rainwater, Reb Eliezer says if it is a rainy season or if there is a small amount of water in the pit, it can break the jars. Otherwise, he cannot break them. Yeshua says in any case, he may either break them or tilt them, but he may not pour out the water. If a plasterer forgot his pot on a cistern and it filled with water, then when the water flows over it even a little, he can break it. Otherwise, he cannot break it. So says Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Yusuf says in either case, he can break it.
But the question over here is whether or not this is considered Mayim She'uvin. If it's in a jug, like as soon as he picks it up, it becomes Mayim She'uvin for sure. But if he breaks it or tilts it, is that considered Mayim She'uvin, or is that still natural flowing water?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, carry on.
If one arranged jars in a cistern and they filled with water, although the cistern absorbed all of its water, he can break them.
Okay. And now we can look at it.
Coolant. Timad, as long as it has not fermented, it may not be purchased with tithe money, and if it renders a mikvah unfit. After it has fermented, it may be purchased with tithe money, and it does not render a mikvah unfit. Brothers who are partners, when they are obligated to pay a korban, they are exempt from the animal tithe, and when they are obligated to give the animal tithe, they are exempt from the korban. Whenever there is a right of sale, there is no fine imposed, and wherever there is a fine imposed, there is no right of sale. Wherever there is refusal, there is no kalitza, and wherever there is kalitza, there is no refusal. Wherever there has a horn blast, there is no havdalah, and whenever there is havdalah, there is no horn blast. If the festival falls on the eve of the Shabbos, the horn is sounded and no havdalah is recited on the departure of the Sabbath. Havdalah is recited and the horn is not sounded. How do we recite the Havdalah? Who distinguishes between holy and holy? Rav Dosa says between greater holiness and lesser holiness. If one slaughters by cutting one of the organs of a bird or both organs of an animal, his slaughtering is valid, and a greater part of one organ is tantamount to its entirety. Rav Yehuda says until he severs the viridin. If he severs half of one organ of a bird or one half of an organ of an animal, his slaughtering is invalid. And if he severs the greater part of the organ of a bird or the greater part of both organs of an animal, his slaughtering is valid. If one slaughters two heads at once, the slaughtering is valid. If two holds a knife and slaughter, and even one is above and one is below, the slaughtering is valid.
Huh. Hey.
Are you running in the race today? Or yesterday? There's a whole big commotion about this race.